Gosh, it feels like 1,000 years ago. When Holden made me start watching all these superhero movies. Became a cinephile. Realized most weren't that bad. I know I said I didn't like these movies, but I was really hoping to watch one last one.
Even if there's a small chance Matt doesn't like it, we owe it to everyone watching to try.
I'm still worthy.
I keep telling everyone it's okay to not like these movies. Some don't. But not us.
Matt may like this movie.
Don't.
Don't what?
Don't give me hope.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
My name is Holden Hardman.
Holden Hardman.
Holden Hardman.
Holden Hardman.
We're starting with Iron Man 1, The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America,
I feel the passion. I'm with you till the end of the line.
Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, Thor, Ragnarok, Black Panther, Infinity War, Captain Marvel.
But he's not a superhero. They're all heroes because they choose to be. They don't have to be. I am shocked that I like this as much as I did. Failure always means experience. We never lose our demons, we only learn to live above them. But I did like it, I thought it was fun. They did so many good things, but there was a lot of death that I don't believe. A thing isn't beautiful because it lasts. I am a Marvel fan.
It's been a long journey. And here we are at Endgame. I remember when we first started talking about doing the MCU and how big of a commitment it was going to be, and it has been. And it's been such a blessing for my channel. It's been so great, and I'm glad that we're here at Endgame now. I'm really excited. I'm really nervous actually as well, just because I know that this is, a lot of people have been waiting for this one. We're actually attempting, currently in real time, to live stream us doing like a watch along. I don't know yet if that's gonna happen. It looks like we're gonna be able to pull it off, which is great. I've asked y'all before a couple times what y'all thought of, what y'all thought was gonna happen. Just give me very briefly, just some predictions.
You know I've trolled this for a long time, but I'm being serious that when I say all of the death, I don't really believe. So a lot of fading away of the previous movie, or the second to last movie, didn't have a lot of gravity for me. I think there's gonna be more of that, because we definitely know this isn't the last MCU movie to ever take place. So I think there's gonna be a lot of death. I just feel like it's probably gonna get even bigger. It's gonna get even more grand. And the feelings that I had with Infinity War about how everything was just so holy crap over the top, I feel like it's gonna be a lot of that.
Obviously, Captain Marvel is gonna play a big part in this movie. I've seen some comments that in her movie she seemed so powerful that why do we even need the Avengers? But where are they? They're in the quantum realm probably. I don't know. We'll see.
So, alright, no stakes. You think of all of the people that died in Infinity War, regardless if we're talking snap or pre-snap, none of those people are dead?
This is my problem, Jeremy. There's always a possibility for someone to come back, or to be in some quantum realm, defibrillation, or there's always some possibility for them to come back in some fashion. And in Captain Marvel, we saw that, where she was like, she's not alive, she's really dead, but she's in her subconscious, she's still She's still there, though. She's still playing a part. She's there. And maybe she's there in spirit, but she's there.
The problem, Matt, if they were really dead and dead forever, then they wouldn't come back for us to enjoy more. So I appreciate them coming back.
I'm not saying I don't want these people around, all right? It's been incredible. This has been a hell of a ride. But don't tell me that there's gravity to this death and old Spider-Man's like, oh, it feels so good. Because it's a bunch of bullshit. He's not really dying.
Well, you are dead inside if you did not respond to that Peter Parker scene. I can't wait to see how you guys respond to this. Knowing what I know about you guys from talking about the rest of these movies, I can't wait to see where we're at the end of this.
Endgame is the end of the Infinity Saga. This is everything you've watched up until this movie. It's coming to a close right now, so I'm really interested to see your guys' reaction to that, and I'd love to hear, of course, your comments after on where we're going.
So my prediction, obviously some of them at least come back in this movie, or else you wouldn't have really any more movies, especially Spider-Man Far From Home, because he snapped. So, and we've already gotten his origin story, so.
That was actually an issue everybody had because we knew the lineup afterwards. We knew that there was a Far From Home movie. And I don't think that's a spoiler, really. That was common knowledge before this movie even came out. I want to leave it at that. I don't want to delve too much into that, but very good observation.
I know that everybody says, I don't want it to be built up for Matt, like don't build it up. I promise I've done a great job at staying out of everything. This is another movie. Sure, it's the end and all that, but you guys know me. I'm unimpressed.
If you've been watching the channel since we did Star Wars and how much I wanted Matt to love Star Wars, only to be disappointed. I know not to get my expectations up too much when I want Matt to like something I like, but this is one I really want him to like, you know? So we'll see. I won't, my feelings won't be hurt too much. I can't say the same thing about some of the viewers, but I really hope you like this one because it meant a lot to me.
I will not be the same person, people.
I've mentioned this in other videos before, but I really want to take a point to directly say that whenever we're watching this movie, we will be taking notes on our phones. Matt's very good about looking up, and we're very good about being like, hey, something's coming. So if you see us on the phone, we're not texting or doing anything like that. We're taking notes, and I know that some people don't like that or like, how can you enjoy it? We're pretty good about when significant things happen to make sure that we're not doing that. So in case there's any like reaction shots where you see some of us, that's what we're doing. Lastly, we got Pastor, Prime, Jeremy, obviously. We're all here to watch together, talk about it. Let's just get into it, guys. Avengers Endgame.
We're coming, we're hungry. Now let's go. Boys! Ah!
But it's now dead in the water. 1,000 light years from the nearest 7-Eleven.
I know I said no more surprises, but I gotta say I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
When I drift off, it'll be like every night lately. I dream about you. Couldn't stop him. Neither could I.
He did exactly what he said he was going to do. Thanos wiped out 50% of all living creatures.
I said we'd lose. You said, we'll do that together too. And guess what, Cap? We lost. And you weren't there.
Where are you going?
To kill Thanos.
We realize up there is more your territory, but this is our fight too. Let's go get this son of a bitch.
All right.
This is going to work, Steve.
I know it will, because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
God damn, they came to play.
I used the stones to destroy the stones. Perhaps I treated you too harshly.
I went for the head.
What?
Yeah. It's always rough to see that.
God dang.
You're so big.
The things that are happening on Earth are happening everywhere.
You know, I keep telling everybody they should move on and grow. Some do, but not us.
Have either of you guys ever studied quantum physics?
Only to make conversation.
See, the rules of the quantum realm aren't like they are up here.
Are you talking about a time machine?
Yeah, like a time machine. I know, it's crazy.
Morgan H. Stark, you want some lunch?
define once or be disintegrated.
Good lord, that's a hell of a product placement.
Or screw it up worse than he already has, right? I don't believe we would. Gotta say, I sometimes miss that giddy optimism.
We have a chance to bring her back, to bring everyone back, and you're telling me that you won't even...
That's right, Scott, I won't even. I got my second chance right here, Cap. Can't roll the dice on it.
I'm so confused.
Controlling it.
Confusing times.
For years, I've been treating the Hulk like he's some kind of disease, something to get rid of. But then I start looking at him as the cure.
I don't want
to take a picture with him.
Yeah, look, he's even saying no, he doesn't. I get
Come
it.
on, the kid.
I don't want him either.
But you...
Take the goddamn phone.
What has he done?
Figured out time travel. What's going on here? What do you think?
I love you 3000.
It's Scott.
As a baby.
He'll grow.
Bring Scott
Somebody peed my pants. But I don't know if it was baby me or old me.
A fully functioning time-space GPS. We got a shot at getting these stones, but I gotta tell you my priorities. Bring back what we lost? I hope, yes. Keep what I found? Have to, at all costs.
Right?
I don't know why that's so funny.
Thor! You hear about the cable? The Cinemax went out 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Give me your cuddly little rascal. Listen, buddy, if you don't log off this game immediately, I'm gonna fly over to your house, come down to that basement you're hiding in, rip off your arms, and shove them up your butt. Hey, let me know if he bothers you again, okay?
Thank you very much, I will. There might be a chance we could fix everything.
Well, like the cable? Because that's been driving me bananas for weeks.
Like Thanos.
Just say that.
We need you, pal.
There's beer on the ship.
And what kind? Don't.
Don't what?
Don't give me hope.
Damn.
If you pick the right year, there are 3 stones in New York.
This is the fight of our lives. And we're gonna win. Whatever it takes.
Yes! Isn't that awesome? Yes! Holy crap.
What do you want from him?
That, actually.
Ah, I'm afraid not.
The bait.
Wow. Yeah.
We just wait around for this Quill guy to show up, and then he leads us to the Power Stone. Is that it?
As far as I'm concerned, that's America's ass.
Captain, I thought you were coordinating search and rescue.
Change of plans. I just got a call from the secretary. I'm gonna be running point on the scepter.
I'm gonna have to call the director.
That's okay. Trust me. Hail Hydra.
Whoa!
We're only giving me a mild cardiac dysrhythmia. Oh, you gotta be shitting me. I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Bucky is alive!
That is America's ass.
Strange, he gave it away. He gave it to Thanos.
Willingly?
Yes.
Why?
I have no idea. Maybe he made a mistake.
Or I did. Strange is meant to be the best of us.
So he must have done it for a reason.
The same Nebula. From 2 different times.
The measure of a person, of a hero. is how well they succeed at being who they are. And eat a salad.
Who? No, wait! I'm still worthy.
Come and get your
Oh my God.
I am inevitable.
See the little pride. There's another way to retake the Tesseract and acquire new particles. You trust me? I do.
Hey man, make love, not war.
Well, I'm Howard Stark.
Hi.
I love the picture of him before the transformation.
Yep. I thought my dad was tough on me. And now, looking back on it, I just remember the good stuff. No amount of money ever bought a second of time.
In order to take the stone, you must lose that which you love. A soul for a soul.
Clint, where's Nat? Yeah, no, you're acting like she's dead. Why are we acting like she's dead? We have the stones, right? As long as we have the stones, Cap, we can bring her back.
All right, the gloves are ready.
I'm the strongest Avenger, okay? So this responsibility falls upon me. Just let me do something good, something right.
Look, but the radiation's mostly gamma. I was made for this.
Everyone Thanos snapped away 5 years ago, just bringing them back to now, today.
I think it worked.
They suspected nothing.
The arrogant never do.
We can stop him.
Come on, buddy, wake up. You lose this again, I'm keeping it. If you mess with time, it tends to mess back.
You know, it's a trap, right?
Yeah, I don't much care.
Just as long as we're all in agreement. Let's kill him properly this time.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. I will shred this universe down to its last atom.
Father, I have the stones. You can change. He won't let me.
Pretty rad.
Yes!
Yeah.
I love it.
In all my years of conquest, violence, slaughter, it was never personal. But I'll tell you now, what I'm about to do to your stubborn, annoying little planet, I'm gonna enjoy it very, very much.
There's my boy, son.
Yeah! Let's go! Bring them in! They're not dead. Right, got it. Wow.
He walked back. He walked back. Jeez, man. Every time.
Avengers! Woo!
Assemble.
Yes! Woo!
give me that.
You will not believe what's been going on. Do you remember when we were in space? And I got all dusty, and I must have passed out because I woke up and you were gone. What are you doing? Oh, this is nice.
You missed the first time. Then you got them both the second time.
Your choices were him or a tree.
If I tell you what happens, it won't happen.
Wow.
I don't even know who you are.
You will.
Activate instant kill!
Rain fire!
Hey, nice to meet you! Oh my god!
Something just entered the upper atmosphere.
Yeah, there you go.
It's basically a Super Saiyan, honestly.
Hi, I'm Peter Parker.
Hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me? Don't worry.
She's got help.
Inevitable.
Yeah. Holy.
We won. Mr. Stark. We won. You did it, sir. You did it. We're gonna be okay. You can rest now.
Then again, that's the hero gig. Right? Part of the journey is the end. I love you 3,000.
Oh, God. What do you want?
Cheeseburgers?
You know, your dad likes cheeseburgers. I'm gonna get you all the cheeseburgers you want.
Okay.
It's time for me to be who I am rather than who I'm supposed to be.
You know, I'd make a lot of changes around here.
I'm counting on it. As Guardians of the Galaxy back together again. Just so you know, this is my ship still. I'm in charge.
Not necessary.
There shall be no knifing one another. Everybody knows who's in charge.
Me.
Yes, you. Of course. Of course.
You have to return the stones to the exact moment you got them. You're gonna open up a bunch of nasty alternative realities.
Don't do anything stupid till I get back.
How can I? You're taking all this stupid with you.
And returning. I don't know. He blew right by his timestamp. He should be here.
Get him the hell back.
Man, I saw him trying.
Well, after I put the stones back, I thought maybe I'll try some of that life Tony was telling me to get. It was beautiful. It reminds me. Try it on. How does it feel?
Like it's someone else's.
It isn't.
I'll do my best.
That's why it's yours.
You want to tell me about her?
No. No, I don't think I will.
I like how they give Jack Kirby credit here as well.
Yeah,
He
for the first time
constantly gets
ever.
like stiffed at that.
Yeah, he's the freaking Bill Finger with Marvel.
Signing off.
Oh, wow,
How did that give me goosebumps? That was him in the very beginning.
All right, we just finished Avengers Endgame, and first off, let me just say thank you to everyone who watched it along live with us or watched it after the fact. Really appreciate that. We had a lot more people watching live with us than we expected, so this is our post-discussion. We've stopped the live. We're gonna really get into it. First off, for me, watching it again makes me emotional. I don't know if it's just watching the movie again or watching it with a collective group of friends that feel the same way about it as I do. Pastor, I'll start with you, man. Going back into it, how did you feel? Any special thoughts that you want to share on it?
The stuff that I really like about this movie, the stuff that made the movie rewatchable and is going to make it rewatchable for many years to come, for me anyway. But because the time travel was self-aware and they were able to explain it to them, but we also got to understand the explanation as well, I thought was awesome. Hawkeye was kind of a main character for me. The very beginning of the movie is such a strong intro to this. It's something that you need to really prepare yourself for. At least I know I did. As soon as I saw it, I knew exactly what was going to happen. Ronin thing aside, I knew that that's the route they were going to take, and it was very smart. Especially since I am a father, and that is my greatest fear for my family to just up and disappear, and there's nothing I can do about it. Nebula's character arc was very important. The ultimate redemption story. The one-liners between Cap and Tony, you know, I'm a big dual kind of guy, you know, that's why I like Dragon Ball so much. It's Goku and Vegeta for me. It's not just one or the other. So you need that yin and yang. The fact that Cap and Tony didn't see each other, the fact that they met for the first time under these circumstances, no one really thought about it. My wife didn't think about it. I kind of took a second to realize that's the first time they saw each other, and it just set the whole movie in motion for me. Time is definitely precious. That is something that this movie sums up in 3 words. Time is precious. That's it. Look at life that way, and hopefully, you know, you make good decisions and don't regret the bad decisions you made. Just learn from them. Perfect depiction of humanizing the Avengers in the first act. They literally did not feel like superheroes. They felt like people that were just on a sabbatical from work, or they exiled themselves from work, and that just made the movie so much more emotional. Even though you look at it from the surface, you look at the playbill, it's a comic movie. It didn't feel like one. Several different kinds of cinematography. The Ronin part felt like a Kill Bill callback, just the cinematography and the choreography and everything. I love that. They use basically like an Into the Spider-Verse kind of thing where they just use different art and different CGI and all that to make it seem like its own part, its own movie. The Thor handing Asgard and sealing the deal with only a handshake. That was something that really meant a lot to me because we don't do that anymore. Everything's about legality now and litigation and lawyers and everything, and nothing's simple anymore. And the fact that he literally sealed it with a handshake, I thought was something that we've lost. Don't lose the value of something like that, where 2 people know that they're agreeing to the same thing with a simple handshake.
Jenna, I want to ask you next. We've come a long way. You've been a part of this journey along with Matt. This is kind of the finale, the big finish. Yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home kind of acts as like an epilogue, but this really is the big finish. So, I mean, what did you think about it? Can you share your thoughts with me?
Opening scene puts you right back into your feelings from the Infinity War. Like, it just put me right back into opening scene, goosebumps, feel that gravity of just everyone gone and how serious this is. Like, it didn't ease into it. It was just like, bam, back into your feelings. For a second, I kind of felt like the whole, we only have enough particles, we just have one chance, was kind of typical, cheesy, maybe comic book type of like, we only have this one chance. But it was just for a second because it really just focused on the gravity of the whole situation. It only made me think that for just a second. I had to nitpick at something. The score was incredible. Like, the gravity of the situation spoke for itself, but then just the emotional soundtrack in the background just made it that much more emotional. Like, I can't tell you how many times I had goosebumps during this movie. I teared up at least 3 times. I mean, literally like tears rolling down my cheek that I was trying to like get my shoulder so no one saw it. It did not have that kind of awkward, sometimes ill-timed humor that the other movies had. Like sometimes the other movies kind of felt like they tried a little too hard to stick that humor in. I like that this didn't have that. I like that my wish came true, that Gamora is technically back.
She lived.
No.
She lived.
Gamora from our time is still very much dead, but yes, it's nice having Gamora back, but they're going to have to reintroduce and reintegrate, and hopefully she falls in love with Quill. We don't know what's going to happen.
Everybody came back. Everybody that floated away, they lived. No, it's fine. No, Jenna, it's fine. They lived.
I think the most gripping scene in this movie was when everyone started coming out of the portals. And I actually typed out, there's absolutely no reason why I should have teared up during those super sci-fi scenes. Like, if you just take the emotion out of it and you look at what's going on, I have absolutely zero interest in being involved, so emotionally involved in, like, these really super sci-fi scenes. But yet, here I am, tears coming down my face. Where's Captain Marvel? Where is she? So, like, when everyone started looking up, I'm like, geez, finally. My favorite Bygone Jim moment, the measure of a person is how well they succeed at being who they are. Also, my biggest question is, who was the young guy in the back at the funeral?
That was the little kid from Iron Man 3. You remember the one that it was like...
he was in the town.
Yeah, when Tony had that little kid there, and he's like, we're connected, and he drives away. That kid. I had no idea who he was first. I had to look it up, but it's the same kid.
I'm gonna start this out a little bit negative, because I still don't see this movie holding at the same level as Infinity War.
Really?
I still love Infinity War more than this. I'll get into that. The biggest thing, pullback for me, is the time stuff. I always feel like it's kind of a cop-out, but that is a conflicted feeling, because with it being like that, and even the writers and directors can't agree on Cap going back in time, what that did to the timeline. They can't come out.
Like why you'd have old Cap in that timeline instead of that new timeline?
It's just a minor thing for me, why I had a little bit of with this movie. I did like the homage that it did play throughout the movie, where going back to the first Avengers movie, going back to Thor, going back to Guardians of the Galaxy. It's kind of like we get to see this recap happening as the movie goes along. I made the point in the Infinity War movie about how Tony and Thanos were on this kind of parallel through the movie the whole time. This one definitely shows more with Cap and Tony. And Matt, I think you would like this too, because this goes into your mental fit mafia. Infinity War, you had everyone dusted, right? Everyone, the snapping happened. Grief is a big part of what's going on in this movie. And I love how they almost represent the 5 stages of grief with different Avengers in there. You got Natalie, is her denial, right? She's still in her mindset. What are we gonna do about this earthquake underwater? And we're gonna handle it like we would, or not. It's not a thing, but she's still driven to do her job, right? Barton, he's showing his anger. He's Ronin now. He's out for revenge. My family got snapped away, but these criminals get to left in. That's gotta be right. Bruce Banner, constant throughout the movie, he's bargaining with himself. He's making all these choices and how we got to get through it. Thor, everyone knows it. Depression is straight up there, because he's carbo loading, over carbo loading right now. Every time you'd see him, he has a beer, and I think even Jenna mentioned when they were on Asgard, went through time, he still had a beer in his hand. He's lost more than anyone throughout this whole series. Makes sense why it's hitting him so hard. Tony at acceptance is... He's still got Pepper. They have a kid. This is their life now. It happened. It can't be fixed. We don't know time travel. That was the biggest thing I like about this movie going through.
I love the 5 stages of grief thing. I never thought about that before. So very, very interesting
Good call, Prime.
perspective.
Good call.
Jeremy, you always have some great insights into stuff like this. Going back into it, what are your thoughts?
I kind of alluded to the fact that I feel like Infinity War is like an Avengers buffet. This movie is another just shining example of how to bring together so many disparate parts and make sense out of it. We talk about the fight on Titan in Infinity War, and then you just look at the way they were able to expand the scale and the scope to that battle where Thanos ends up coming through the portal at the end. It's super impressive from a technical level. Endgame has some of the best needle drops props outside of the specifically Guardians of the Galaxy movies. What's so brilliant about Marvel is they're able to get this kind of feedback from their fans as they go, where like in a television series, if you film all the episodes up front, you're not going to be able to address the criticisms until season 2. Well, Marvel is in this brilliant situation where a movie can come out and people will be like, that was super dope, but Clint didn't get a moment to shine in it, or Nebula really doesn't have room to breathe as a character, and then they're able to pivot and course correct in these really cool and interesting ways. So yeah, in a lot of ways, this is Clint's movie, which is super cool because Hawkeye's always been the one that has had criticisms and critiques from the fans of like he doesn't get enough to do. And that scene with Natasha and Clint on Vormir, yeah, such an impactful scene. It's super cool to see the bond that they've had over all this time and the callbacks to Budapest and all of this, and these two really grounded and human characters in the midst of all of this just crazy intergalactic crap that's going on. And I don't know, Holden had mentioned he didn't know if it's because we're like watching it together or just going back and revisiting this, but there's just something so powerful about the Marvel movies in a communal setting, like everybody being vibing on this same thing, and it has been a journey for everybody, and I think that's a really cool thing. Matt took a 10-year journey, Jenna took a 10-year journey within a couple of weeks, months, and I'm not gonna lie, just seeing the way that Matt reacted, like I would have been fine if he had no positive feelings about this movie, but the payoff is like that much greater when Matt's like freaking out about it. So it's an awesome experience for sure.
Some of my thoughts, and I figure when Matt starts talking, we'll start to kind of go feed off each other a little bit more. One of my notes, killing Thanos early in the movie. When I saw Matt's reaction of like, wait, what? Where do we go from here? I felt the exact same way in theaters. I almost feel like that part could have been the end of Infinity War almost. I think that scene where Thor walks down the steps and you get that blur could have been the end of Infinity War, leaving us with, well, what now until Endgame? I prefer it this way. I remember feeling that same way of like, what? The Captain Marvel problem. We saw how powerful she is. Jenna said, where is she the whole time? In movie, they made it so that she was off helping these other worlds, which makes sense. It also eliminated the problem, and I remember everybody we've grown with all of these Avengers. Does it really make sense to have some newcomer come in and just clean house? And it didn't. And luckily, I feel like they did it the best way possible. I think they did it the most epic way, where the Avengers are kicking butt, and then when you see the ship start shooting off into the distance, I loved it. I felt like she fit in perfectly. Kind of the way that you feel about Doctor Strange, where you like him more kind of in the team. It's sort of the way I feel about Captain Marvel, because I thought that she was kicking butt. I loved when Thanos is like grabbing and tries to headbutt her and nothing happens. I like her better. I think I liked her better in this setting, kind of with the team, kind of at the end. Yeah, she was also Super Saiyan. Thor's depression and his PTSD. One of the things that I loved about this, and I think you're gonna like this, we've talked about mental health and stuff on the channel before, mostly in our My Friend Watches Joker for the first time video. I think the moment where Thor's in the past and he reaches out for the hammer and the hammer comes back to him and he says, I'm still worthy, because your depression does not make you unworthy. Ooh, how's that for a Bygone Jim moment? Love that. Glenn was starting to say this point. I had it as well. In the first Avengers, Captain America criticizes Tony for saying, you're not the guy to lay down your life for others. You don't put yourself on the line. He does kind of answer it in that movie when he throws the nuke up and falls back. So he was defying it then. But I feel like now it was just he knew it was coming. I feel like he knew from the beginning he was probably going to die. So I love that he did it regardless.
Well, yeah, and he even asks Doctor Strange, is this the one time that we win this? And Strange replies that if I tell you, it won't happen. His reaction at that moment too is still kind of must know something's coming that he's gonna have to sacrifice for.
I also think that it's ironic that happens with Tony, and Cap is the one that gets to live his life when you feel like he was the one that was almost too eager to lay down his life for others. I love that part in the actual video. I tear up when I see him with Peggy, because that's all I wanted for him, was just to have that happily ever after with her, and I'm so happy that he got to do that. It makes me feel very emotional. Contrasting Tony in the first Iron Man, where I think of him on the jet with Terrence Howard, lol. The stewardess, strip dancing and stuff, and he just doesn't care, to now, where you see him in a cabin playing with his daughter. His total character art has shifted so much from the very first one to now, and I love that for him. And this is a Tony Stark, this is an Iron Man that I respect and that I can really, really appreciate. It took me a while from Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, still wasn't quite there for me, still a little too arrogant, narcissistic, to now where it's like, all right, man, where Captain America is saying, I trust you, I can get behind that, I can trust him too.
You know, Cap saying you wouldn't lay down your life, and Tony ended up doing that. And then Tony's reply is just, there's nothing special about you. You came from a bottle. And yet, in this one, he wields Mjolnir.
Yeah.
So he's worthy of wielding it. That's not doesn't come from a bottle. That's him, who he is as a person.
I love that, Glenn. Beautifully put. You have such great insight. I love it. I'm glad that you're here. I'm actually going to give a criticism about this movie, or at least a thing that I've noticed as a possible plot point. So feel free to correct me. When Tony snapped, and obviously he's in the process of dying, why couldn't Doctor Strange quickly get the time stone and reverse the effect on him before he died, or even after he died?
I could be wrong. As far as the MCU goes, I think the reason why that wouldn't have worked is the same reason why they couldn't understand why Natalie couldn't come back. I think it has to do with the way the stones work. I think the stones are like an all or nothing kind of a deal, and if you try to finagle the negotiation with the stones, if you will, it won't work the way you wanted it to.
I don't know if I'm fully bought into that answer, because I know that Thanos did it on Vision, brought Vision back with the stone intact, so it clearly was able to bring the stones back. Jeremy, I saw you had a point too, so what did you think?
It's this really simple explanation, guys. It's for movie. It's a screenplay, and you need stuff to happen to get from point A to point B. I know there's a lot of you Marvel physics stands out there, so explain this to me. Like, how is it that every alien race speaks English and that you can fly across the galaxy in 5 minutes? Like, I'm not an astrophysicist myself, so I may be wrong about this, but there's a lot of people who want to go to bat about, oh, they had a physics consultant, and I'm like, okay, but those people are still green. Like, this is not actual physics, you guys. So that said, I feel like if they wanted it to do that, it could have easily done that. Marcus and McFeely, they're the screenwriters. They get to make the call. They're the masters of the universe.
The way I saw it was along with Pastor's explanation of it is when Thanos redoes with Vision is because they were using a different stone and using them individually, where the snap takes them all at one time to use. So you're kind of undoing, you can't take one stone and undo what all the stones did.
Your argument would be that if he undid that, it would undo the snap. I could see that. I could live with that.
It's just screenwriting. It's fine.
Let me know what you think about that. I'm actually really curious. Now for the big moment here, Matt, I know you have a lot of notes. What did you think about Avengers Endgame?
Since the dawn of time.
Here we go.
First of all, before we do anything, I want to say this whole thing would not have been possible had it not been for that man. So your eye and your ability to do this in your videos and how incredible you are. Seriously, this has been incredible, and it's because of you. You've done a great job.
Thanks.
You've amassed an audience that have fallen in love with you and this crew, and it's truly incredible.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm glad you guys just like watching my videos.
Love making it awkward. So moving on, I think that this friendship piece plays a role in how much I've fallen in love with this. I've fallen in love with this. This has been incredible. Looking back to me watching Iron Man 1 all the way until now, I enjoyed Tony at the start, and I enjoyed him all the way until the end. This one was incredibly well done. I do have a few nitpicks, but I really, really liked it. From an MCU movie standpoint, this was my favorite one.
Good, yes.
No.
Okay, great.
Hands down, this was my favorite one. I'll give you the rating at the end. From a movie standpoint, pick a movie out. Black Panther was my favorite one. And I think that was because of the moral obligation that it had. All of these movies was, you know, good versus evil, negative versus positive, all of that. But Black Panther had something real special. And I think also it's hitting really hard because of everything that's happening right now. As you know, the death thing for me has always been, it's turned into a bit of a meme and kind of a comical piece, but I mean it when I say it, that I don't believe in the death that I see. The ability to time travel, bring people back, there's this red serum, let's turn the stone, let's, you know, that does take a little piece of it away. That doesn't mean that I dislike the movie, it's just an inconsistency to me that feels either either that it cheapens it or there's just something that it takes away. It takes away the gravity.
I agree, and I knew that going into it with the way you felt about death, and these last two movies, these last two big ones, are all about dying and coming back. I was going into it being like, I could just see him hating it for that. I try to view it more from like Tony's perspective, like on Titan, like when Spider-Man fades away. We as an audience may know that there's more because, you know, they have Far From Home slated for next year or whatever. The characters don't know that, so I try to view it from like their perspective, that they don't know that there's time travel in stones, at least not yet. So it doesn't take away from me in that respect, and I, as an audience member who loves these characters, I want them to come back.
When we started all of this, there wasn't anything sci-fi that I enjoyed. And this is sci-fi, absolutely, and I like it. Thanos dying in the very beginning, yes, I was like, holy crap, where do we go from here? And then I immediately went to, well, he's not dead. Sure enough, he came back. Sure, it was in a different fashion or time stamp or whatever, but he was back. I really like that Nebula playing paper footballs. That showed a lot of her, and like she was like, this was fun. Like it was just, I don't know, I love that moment. I thought it was great. Tony easing Pepper in that video log that he did, saying I'm fine, very much was painting the picture of I'm gonna die, but I'm not suffering. That showed so much, like Tony just evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved. And I always liked Tony in the beginning because he was so flawed, and just to see more and more of him putting out the love, and you're right, Holden, at the end with you know, with him with the kids and all that, it was just, that was big. I loved that. Captain Marvel, she was pretty damn powerful. I knew that she was powerful towards the end of Captain Marvel, I got it, but it even more rang through here. I think they delivered her very well. It was a very good point that you made about how having a new character swoop in and save the day and take it all, that's a very good point. I think she did a great job, and I enjoyed her more together than I did standalone. So props to her, she did great. Cap and Tony. Tony said, I lost the kid, and Cap said, we lost. Ugh, God, so good. Like, that's so Cap. Yeah. And I love that about him, how he's inclusive. It's us. We did it. We didn't do it. We lost together.
He takes that personal failure, I lost the kid, and he applies it to himself, you know, with everyone else. You didn't lose the kid. We lost the kid. And I love Cap, dude. I love him.
The accountability in Cap always is something that I love. I've warmed up to him so much, and there were moments in this film where I was like, I love him so much. And in the beginning, I don't want to say I couldn't stand him. In the beginning, I was just like, it's not delivered well and all that, but he's so good. He's so good. He's so good through and through. I really, really enjoyed him. It's so crazy what this movie did and how it elevated each character for me. I said how much Hawkeye and Falcon and how much I was like, but in that moment where Falcon stabbed him with the wings, I loved it. It was so good. It was there. When Valkyrie was flying in with the, like, I loved it. They brought every character up another notch to me. When everybody's sort of got the plan and everything, and when Cap says it, when he said, let's go get this son of a bitch. Dude, that hit me, man. That hit me so hard. This is gonna work, Steve. I know it will, because I don't know what I'll do if it doesn't. The moment in the beginning where Cap was like, let's do this, like we're gonna go do this, and Iron Man was like it's done. Like you said, Prime, it was acceptance. It was, nope, it's done. I wanted to slap the hell out of him. I was so, I did. I called him a bitch. Yeah, and I stand next to that because he was tapping. He was giving up. He was quitting, and when you quit, like, they were so defeated. Half of the population, half of the living beings had been erased. But when you quit, there's never an opportunity to bring that back. And that's so applicable to life and mental fitness and all that kind of. I leaned in so hardcore. I was like this, on the edge of my seat, when you saw the Hulk, and it was the smart version and the brawn version of Hulk. I loved it so much, because to me, the Hulk's biggest flaw is that he couldn't control his emotions. So when you can control your emotions, like, that was so well done. I loved that so much. It was a touch that I did not see coming. I loved it so much. I even loved how his voice, you could hear Hulk and you could hear Bruce Banner in it. I did have a little gripe about Tony, just like, I know y'all said Tony's got side projects and the time travel thing. He was like, hey, invert it. And he was like, I figured it out. I was kind of like, well, maybe a little more explanation, but okay, I'll let it go. Ant-Man popped back in and he said, I don't know if it was the old me or the little me peeing, or it was me. It's so good. Jenna, you're right. The humor in this was so good. It was so well delivered. I loved Thor being out of shape. I love that so much, because I actually did a video on my channel talking about his and Cap's diet and exercise, and I know what that means. That's sort of my world. So to see that, and I know he wasn't that out of shape, that was obviously a bodysuit, but that was so funny and so well done because he's always been the muscular guy, the girls love him, so it was so well done. Hawkeye saying "don't give me hope" shows how deep he was in. Like you said, I love that. There were so many times I had goosebumps in this movie. It just hit me so many times. I cried, I think, 5 times. The part where they were traveling back in time and trying to get the scepter, he said, "You're just gonna give me a mild cardiac dysrhythmia." Great job. Great job. Nobody cares. Got it. For Holden's sake, I'm just gonna burn through these real quick. The bygone gem moments. This one had the most. Somebody said it. It was an absolute buffet of bygone gem moments. I probably missed some because of how much I had to write down. You're a failure just like everyone else. A measure of a person is how they succeed at who they are. No amount of money ever bought a second of time. I don't judge people on their worst mistakes. You Cap getting the hammer, him being worthy. I loved it so much. That moment was huge. I loved it. I love seeing him spinning it. That was so well done.
I'm so glad that moment wasn't spoiled. There were several times, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that there was one time, I think it was in Winter Soldier, where somebody said, or when Jenna said, yeah, Thor's the only one that can hold it. And I made some sort of yep. Tried to bite my tongue. A lot of people commented on that. So I'm so glad that wasn't spoiled. And for those that got to watch it with us live, we freaked out. It gets me every time, man. I love it. I'm glad that you got to experience it without it being really ruined for you.
Do you think Cap was worthy the whole time? Remember Age of Ultron?
And I don't think he was worthy then. No, it budged a little bit, you're right, but I don't think he was worthy then. I think it took all the way up until this point. He's incredible. We know that. He's noble, all that, but a lot of these characters are. But he's probably on the tippy top of noble and all that crap, but it's still taken him more personal growth and personal development to get to this point. But I absolutely think he's worthy now, without a doubt.
Talk about meta information. I know the real answer to that from the creators. Do you want me to tell you if he was, according to Joe and Anthony Russo, he was worthy in Age of Ultron. He could have lifted it all the way if he wanted to. And they said that the real reason he didn't want to, well, for one thing, he's Captain America and didn't want to steal Thor's thunder, no pun intended. He purposely didn't lift it at that moment. I think that's why he was so confident in this one, where he saw the hammer down and he knew he could take it if he wanted to.
That's a really interesting point. I didn't think he was worthy then.
Yeah, let me be the one person to dissent and be like, it did kind of steal Thor's thunder to me. It's everybody can wield Cap's shield, so it wouldn't have seemed weird if they did that, but it would have been weird if Clint all of a sudden turned into the Hulk, got gamma radiation, and because to me the Mjolnir and Stormbreaker are so inextricably linked to the character of Thor that while it is a dope minute and people, rightfully go crazy, I just have to ask, what is the difference between where Steve started at the end of Captain America to where he's at now? He had an arc in the first movie, and since then he's kind of been static, other than he kind of gave up trust on the government.
I think it's a little cheap.
You ruined it for me now, because now I'm thinking into that. And how Stormbreaker, when he's mentioning, well, why don't we all go get these tools? And Thor's like, your minds couldn't handle it. You'd crumble before it. And so now Cap held Stormbreaker for a second.
I think that was actually Thor just being ridiculous and being you would go crazy. Only I, the God of Thunder. I think that I don't really believe that. For me, it didn't cheapen it. I still feel like even though Cap was able to wield it, we know that a very, very small portion of people can do that, and none of us are surprised that Cap could do it. We'd be surprised if Tony did. We'd be surprised probably if Bruce Banner did. We'd be surprised if Black Widow did. Nobody's really surprised that Cap did. For that reason, I don't think it really cheapens it, and I don't think it takes away who really is worthy. I mean, would any of us be worthy? Probably not, actually, but nobody's surprised that Cap could do it.
Well, I just want to say the biggest question that I had with it was that I thought that the electricity or the lightning came from Thor. When Cap held the hammer, it had the lightning or electricity or whatever you want to call it.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Okay.
Whosoever shall hold this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. I cast you out!
When Black Panther and the crew came through, and I'm talking about the Black Panther crew, especially when they came through, when they were heightening that moment, the score was coming through, I started crying immediately when I saw Black Panther. Just so good. When I heard Bombay, I was like, that's it, let's go, let's go! Oh my God, it was so good. Whenever Tony saw Spider-Man, like he knew he was okay, that was such a dad-son moment, and I cried at that. I love the moment of girl power that they had. Holden did say, and I agree with you, it was a little pandering, but I think that it was really good that they highlighted that. They brought all the women together, showed their moment of power. I thought it was cool.
I would say slash between pandering and patronizing. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, but about that scene, did you find that patronizing or pandering at all? Not really.
No.
Did it get you hype?
No.
I mean, as a woman, I found it extremely patronizing. No, I 100% understand where you're coming from. Like, we didn't need to see them all kicking ass together to understand that they kick ass. I feel like you could have integrated them into scenes naturally and they didn't all have to do the superhero pose together. Each of those characters has done something like impactful through previous movies, so it is a cool payoff, it's a cool shot, but it is just like, how did they all find each other and end up right in that spot at the same time? These are the questions you really should be asking.
Do you really want to
yourself.
go there?
No,
You
not at
really
all.
want to go there with me? I'm letting a lot go, people. My respect for Strange climbed in the movies that came. I liked him, again, as the group rather than just by himself. Whenever Iron Man looks at him and he said, like, is this it? And he holds up one finger. First of all, I did not see Tony dying. I didn't see Tony dying, but I definitely looked at it as like, all right, this Tony knows it's his moment. He's got to do something. So you're right. I knew he had to do something. That moment gripped me. I cried at that. I saw Pepper having her own suit coming a mile away. Whenever she said, I'm working on something for your mom, blue mask, and I loved that she played a role in it. I got goosebumps at the signatures at the very end. Right. They did such a good job. That is all that I have. That was a lot.
When we were watching the movie, you brought up the fact, and I didn't even think about it prior to this, but that Thor, Cap, and Iron Man,
all of them together fighting.
Where it all started off, and that is such an awesome thing. Cap has always been similar to Superman with me. He's such a Boy Scout, especially in the comic books. I've never cared for this character. Winter Soldier really fundamentally changed something for me with my relationship with Captain America. I love that his ideals stayed the same even though the world around him changed. And that Boy Scout, like that do-rightness that he has within him, I guess for lack of a better word, like that's really inspiring stuff. And the interplay between him and Tony has always been rocky foundation. I don't know that even up to the very last movie that they were what you would consider friends, but they have this great respect and admiration and understanding about who each other were. When Tony takes off his little arc reactor thing off his chest and puts it in Cap's hand at that scene in the beginning, you know, it's just like, that fight is super powerful, and you can't really give somebody a Lifetime Achievement Award, but what Robert Downey Jr. did with Iron Man, it's incredible. It's a 1 in a million kind of thing. There's no other character other than Pastor mentioned, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, but that has been so beloved by so many people for so long. It's just an amazing thing.
Matt, do you have any kind of, besides our stuff, you don't have any kind of Marvel memorabilia collector stuff, do you?
Prime, you know that damn answer.
It's a no then, right? Because I think you're wrong. I think you're wrong. You're gonna have this. It's nothing special. It's not like Black Series, right? It's a Legend Series, not anything crazy.
I wouldn't know the difference. That's incredible, man.
Sorry, this thing costs like $500.
Holy crap!
Yeah. No.
Wow, man, thank you. I won't throw this away. This will go up somewhere. This has a lot of, like, I look at this now and have such a different feeling than I used to. And it's because of these movies, but it's because of this series, because of that guy behind the camera right there. It's because of you guys, seriously. This has been absolutely incredible.
I know for us, as the people that have been making this series, and the channel has grown so much from us watching the MCU. The MCU now even has a greater place in my heart because it allowed me to survive COVID and getting fired from my job because of furlough and stuff, and keeping food on my table. Thank you guys so much for that. But also what people say, that how they feel like they're watching with us and we're all friends together, and even the fact that so many people tuned in while we watched it live, silence with just a timer, is amazing. So I think that it commemorates how far we've come. We do have the epilogue movie, Far From Home. This feels like the end.
It's just the beginning for the series.
I'm gonna put it at, can I do 8.9.
I know it's probably half everyone in the world's answer is a 10, and mine is a 10. I do have many reasons why. Of all the movies, this one's the only one that is a 10 regardless, and that's just my opinion.
I could critique it, you know what I mean? And I enjoy kind of picking little elements apart on it. I think they were able to sell it where it's like, hey, it's either all a joke or none of it's a joke. And I felt like it did that really well. It's able to really balance the humor and the pathos that Marvel's always been so good at. On a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
I'm gonna give this a 9.4.
Woo! We'll take that. I'll take that one.
I feel like I would like to give it a little bit lower rating, but I got goosebumps so many times and I teared up so many times that I feel like I have to give it that high of a rating because I was so invested. But normally something that has to do with time travel and sci-fi, I would not watch at all. So kudos to Marvel.
I don't know if it's going to come as much as a surprise. I typically don't like giving 10s just because I even pointed out a criticism I had about the movie, or a critique, but this is about as close to 10 as it can get. I might as well just go big or go home. I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10. Woo! This is pretty dang close to perfect for me. I don't know if it would be that. As a matter of fact, I could almost guarantee it wouldn't be that if it was not for everything that came before this. The whole MCU so far has felt like Act 1, Act 2, and this is the finale of Act 3 of 23 movies.
I said that I could not give my full rating because we hadn't gotten through everything. So I want to backlog, and I gotta say that I give Black Panther a 10. Loved Black Panther. I had to allow space because we weren't to the end.
What about Endgame?
Oh yeah. I was already telling you.
A 10. What?
This is a 10. Wow. This is a 10 out of 10. You're right. It took everything to get to this point. There was a lot of hype around this. Who we kidding? And you know, you guys complained, don't hype it up for Matt. It was hyped up. It was by everyone. I did a really good job at not letting that hype kill it. And I think that there might have been some movies that it was hyped so much that it might have brought it down a little bit for me. It didn't happen this time. This was incredible. They balanced humor. They had this build up. They made me cry the most times. There was Bygone Jim moments out there. All of these characters leveled up for me. There were moments where I was like, look at this. Like, look at this film. And you know, we can nitpick to death. Also, you being here, this crew, it was just a perfect ending until everybody comes back to life in the next one.
My biggest nitpick is to those of you who commented the spoilers. I saw the rat spoiler, I can't tell you how many times, and I gotta say, I thought that was gonna be a bigger deal.
Somebody asked in the last video if you are a Marvel fan. You said you couldn't answer it till we got to the end of this one. Are you a Marvel fan?
After everything that's happened, all the build up, I'm a Marvel fan.
Woo!
Yeah, I am. Yes! I'll be rewatching this movie and a few others.
I asked some of my patrons if they would share some of their thoughts and feelings of what they felt about Endgame. I'm gonna play it at the credits. Hopefully you'll stick around and watch some of that. But that's it, guys. I guess we'll see you next week when we do Far From Home. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below letting us know what you think. Subscribe if you want to see more fun content like this. I hope that you do. Consider supporting me on Patreon for early access. I don't know how early this one will be because I'm gonna be editing it to the very last minute, I'm sure. As always, we appreciate you watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Take care.
That moment that Cap catches the hammer and starts wailing on Thanos was incredible. It gave me goosebumps and was simply the culmination of 10 years of joy. The conclusion and the amazing feelings that Avengers Endgame gave me make it my favorite film of all time.
I still get chills from audience reactions and how I felt even when I watched the movie today. I don't expect something that I'll ever experience again, and that memory will always be important to me.
It was just so cool seeing so many people, you know, from so many different walks of life, just united, just together, watching and loving this one movie.
I can't tell you how many times I cried during this movie, and I don't usually cry during movies.
The ending to the Infinity War saga did not disappoint. There's still some scenes that I put on today just to relive those experiences again. And some of them really do touch an emotional aspect of my life because I had been following this story for over a decade.
This is like 9 years of emotions, character growth, just 9 years of like me growing up, all coming to an end. Something got fulfilled, you know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but Avengers Endgame was the best cinematic experience I think I've ever experienced.
I spent the last 2-3 days before Endgame watching all of my Blu-ray collection from Iron Man to Captain Marvel, and I watched it on opening day because I did not want my friends to spoil it. The first scene was when Hawkeye lost his family. I started to tear up a bit, in that first scene, I was like, I'm ready for this movie.
Everyone coming together and assembling at the end was just the thing that I remember the most. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And I went to myself and I told myself, I said, don't forget this. This is truly something special.
Tony Stark's ultimate fate in the film echoed very strongly for my wife and I with her father. It was something that was very difficult for both of us to watch, with this happening only several months ago. And what really drove it home for both of us is Pepper's words to Tony, "We'll be okay, and you can rest now," was unfortunately the exact words my mother-in-law said to her husband in the hospital. It really seemed to be symbolic and almost poetic in its reflection of our everyday lives at that time.
It was just so exciting to grow up with this franchise and watch it explode and change, and specifically to see Tony Stark's journey come to such a satisfying end, sort of a transcendent experience.
All of a sudden, like when Mjolnir started rising and it went to Cap and I saw Cap, something just sparked in my head and I just cheered. I was so happy that this moment actually came to pass. Goosebumps went flying. I was so happy.
Overall satisfied, closure all around, and I'm glad to see Thanos get killed twice. My only little gripe is that I didn't get to see Hulk get his revenge.
I was in the end game of my relationship at the time. I saw it with one of my best friends. That movie brought out emotions that I needed, that I needed to come out, you know. Had me crying, and I needed a good cry. And that's what a good movie brings out, emotions that you need.
Avengers Endgame was the ultimate climactic experience and ending that we were expecting as fans, but even 100-fold more. We saw a change in their characters. We saw them go on this long journey that was 11 years, and that was somewhat of a reflection of what we were all experiencing.
I think my favorite part is whenever everyone else comes out through the portals, because I remember when Spider-Man flew through there, oh my God, I cheered in the theater, because just like you, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, big inspiration of mine, love that guy.
I've always been a big comic book nerd, and the stakes that were in the build-up of these 10 years were just monumental. And after Infinity War and everything that happened, finally learning that people do die in the MCU and they don't come back, and what the gravity of this film was. It has all the bygone Jim moments Matt could ever wish for.
Avengers Endgame, the biggest movie of our generation, was epic. And I think that's truly like the best word to use to describe it. I'm so glad that I was able to live through that and see that movie in theaters.
I just remember all the hype around it, all my friends talking about it. I wasn't really much of a movie watcher until then, and that really changed once I saw Endgame.
For me, it's the best MCU movie, and not just the best MCU movie, but for me, in my personal opinion, it is one of the best films of all time.
I remember just standing there in shock when Captain America picked up Mjolnir, or when Tony grabs the stones. It's kind of hard not to get choked up thinking about that scene.
Personally, I think it did it. I think it was everything I wanted it to be. I love how they wrapped up Tony's arc, and even though Captain's was predictable, it was exactly what I wanted, so I was happy with that. I was afraid that they'd undo all the deaths and there'd be no real consequences, but I thought that the sacrifices made by Natasha and Tony carried so much more emotional weight than just dying without control, so I like how they handled that.
This whole experience has been a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to like live through, and Endgame was just like the culmination of that. Watching these films and watching it conclude on like the big screen will live with me for like the rest of my life. As soon as Tony snapped his fingers, the theater was just silence, and you just hear people crying. You realize how emotionally invested we are as fans and how long we've been waiting for this moment. Besides these movies being great stories, what was most important was always getting together with friends and spending time with them and sharing that experience with them. And I feel like I've been doing that with you guys. Like I'm part of the crew. I'm super pumped and excited to finally share Endgame with you guys.